All right, let's get started. So the top left challenge question, we have 32 and a third. We're taking away from it 12 and 3/4. Remember, when they have different denominators, you cannot add or subtract fractions with different denominators. So the first thing is to figure out one of the infinite equivalent fractions that each of them could turn into. Uh, and turn them into a denominator they could both morph into. And remember, a denominator can morph into anything that you can count to by the number, also known as multiples. So 3 could turn into 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. 4 can turn into 4, 8, 12, and so on into infinity, right? The first thing that 3 and 4 can both turn into is, well, 4 can turn into 8, but 3 can't. And then 4 can turn into 12, and 3 also can. So we say 12 is the denominator that they're both going to turn into. 1/3, well, how many 3's made 12? 4. So the magic number is 4. So 1 turns into 4 because 1 times 4 is 4. And then 4, how many 4's made 12? 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. So now this is also going to go through the 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. We found their equivalent fraction. So 3/4 is now 9/12, and 1/3 is now 4/12. Now we're going to subtract. Remember, the top number is what you have. You have 4, you lose 9. It's illegal. You cannot do it. So we go over and say, hey, 32, I need one of your whole numbers, buddy. And they say, fine, take it. What are you going to turn it into? Well, if I'm working with 12s, I'm going to turn it into 12s. They say, oh, fine. Since it's a whole, it's worth 12 12s. Now I have 12 12s and 4 12s. So because I have 12 12s and 4 12s, I have 16 12s. And now I could take 9 from 16, and I have 7 12s left. Now I go over and do the other kind of math. We have 1, we lose 2, that's illegal. So we have to say, hey, at 10, I need one of your 10s. Sure, it's worth 10 1s. Now I have 11 1s. 11 1s minus 2 is 9, and 2 minus 1 is 19. Or sorry, 2 minus 1 is 1. So the answer is 19 and 7 12. Now let's go over to the addition. And the addition is going to have a lot of the same steps in the beginning as the subtraction did. Except for we're not going to have to borrow. We're going to have to do something else called carry over, right? Okay, so here we go. We have thirds and fourths. As we know, they're both going to turn into 12ths. And this is times 4 is 4, times 3 is 9. Take away, you take away, and now you look at it and you say, okay, we have 4 9s. We get not, I'm sorry, we have 4 12ths. We're going to get 9 more 12ths. Oh my gosh, we now have 13 12ths. Well, there's an issue here, and the issue is this is bigger than a whole, and we don't need a fraction for something that's bigger than a whole. So we want to turn it into a mixed number. The question is, do you want to do it now or later? Some people say now, some people say later. Let's just go with later. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So you have 44. But 44 and 13 12ths is not right. So we have this, and we say, let's take away a whole. Well, a whole would be 12 12ths. When you take away a whole and give it to 44, it turns into 45. And if you had 13 12ths but took away 12 of them, you have 1 12th left. Answer is 45 and 1 12th. Let's go to, we want to figure out what a third of 25 is. And remember, 25 is a whole number, and of means, well, you take a fraction of something, you're actually multiplying. A third of 25. And then instead of 25, you have 25 over 1. And then you say, okay, we want to multiply across. Well, remember, you're allowed to simplify as long as it's the top number and a bottom number. But if you look here, there's nothing to simplify. 25 and 3 have no numbers in common that are factors, and 1 and 1 are already only 1. So 1 times 25 is 25. 3 times 1 is 3. Now the question, how many 3's are trapped into 25? Why? Because each 3/3 is equal to a whole. So I'm going to put 25 down, and I'm going to try to pull as many 3's as I can out of it. I know that 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. I could pull out 8 groups, and 8 groups is 24, so I still have 1 left. I'm supposed to have 3 to make a whole, so it's 8 1/3. So 25 thirds is equal to 8 1/3. Now on to the final question. We have a third of something, and we want to split that between 25 people. Well, how do you divide? Well, we're not going to use slice. We're not going to use house. We're going to say we don't like to divide fractions. Instead, we're going to use the keep, change, flip to turn it into multiplication. So you keep a third, you flip the sign, and then instead of having 25, which is 25 over 1, we flip it to 1 over 25. Now we can multiply across, and it's going to be a teeny tiny 75th. Why 75th? Because you only have a third of something to start with. If you had a third of a pizza, you only have this much pizza. If you have 25 people splitting that, they're each going to get a tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver, and that sliver is 1/75th of the pizza. Those are your challenge questions for today, ladies and gentlemen. Now use your knowledge to go out and destroy that Kahoot. Make sure you use your real name so I can give you credit for doing the Kahoot, and well done.